Hi everybody, it's Paper Killer 79 here. I know it's been a while since I've made a video. That's what happens when you have two small kids and a busy career. But we're going to be making another one here, at least a basement video, not a range video, seeing as how finding time to go to the range is pretty difficult. So what we're going to be doing today is talking about my Soviet arsenal collection. So any Soviet weapons that I have in my collection, we're just going to be doing a tabletop review. So we're going to start off with my VZ58, also called the CZ858. This one is obviously, pretty modified over stock. I have a Fab Defense quad rail on there with some rail covers. I also have a nice little 120 lumen light with a green laser as well. There's the bayonet. I also have a muzzle brake for it, but I don't like it too much, so I don't use it. We have the little 5-round mags, because living here in Canada, that's what we're limited to. So instead of having these cumbersome 30 rounds that are pinned to 5, they give you 4 actually of those 30-round pinned to 5 mags. But it's just a lot to lug around. I also have a factory bayonet mounted bipod for it, so that's kind of interesting. What else do I have on here? It came with the factory folding side stock, but for anyone who shot a folding stock, it's pretty uncomfortable, so I went with this kind of Dragunov type composite stock here, which is very comfortable to shoot. What else do I have up here? I have, a little 3-9, and you really have to go with a pretty short scope, because with these VZs, it ejects the spent casings pretty much straight up. So, nice little gun. I really like my VZ58. It's 7.60 by 39. It's a nice little gun. Up here we have my SKS. I love this SKS. It has a beautiful laminate stock on it. The only thing that wasn't very nice on it was the top handguard, which I went ahead and added a this metal one. I don't know if you can see it too well there. So it's a ventilated metal handguard, which I think makes it look really cool. You have the blade bayonet there, unlike the Chinese Norinco ones, that are the spikes. This is the Russian. This particular rifle was fabricated in 1954. I added a drilled and tapped scope mount, because for all you guys, that the receiver cover mounted Picatinny rails, they don't hold zero. They're just kind of on there. They're not bolted down in any way. So if you want a scope that holds zero, you got to go with a drilled and tapped, sort of screw retained scope mount there. I also have taken off that internal box magazine and added. I got a Tapco plastic one there, but I also have a just a metal one there as well, detachable magazine. So, I don't really like having to load it from the top of the receiver. I always end up cutting my fingers and whatnot. So, 1954 version shoots awesome. Terrible trigger though. It's got to be like a 30-pound trigger. But for a $150 rifle, you can't go wrong. Alright, what else do we have here? Oh, and we're going to show some bullets. So obviously, that's the 7.62 by 39, or 7.62 Soviet, whatever you want to call it. I think they're both Federals. That one's a soft tip. And the other one's a 7.62 by 54R, which is we use in the Mosin and in the SVT40. So we're going to show that right now. So I have this SVT40, which I've kept bone stock I have that the 12 port muzzle brake. I also went ahead and invested in a couple aftermarket detachable magazines for it. So this is my SVT40. You know, for anyone who owns an SVT40, you know that they're kind of cobbled together. They're all re-arsenaled. None of the parts match. They're all kind of electro-penciled when they're re-arsenaled. The actual gun, this one was is a 1941 version. Shoots awesome, very accurate with the open sights. Now you can get, this one actually has those slots, you know, milled into the receiver to accept the you know, the factory scope mount, but you can't find those factory scope mounts. There's one distributor that I found in BC that has a reproduction scope mount and the 4x scope, but wants $500 for it. So in a rifle that cost me $250, I didn't want to spend $500 on a reproduction scope mount and scope, so I'm just using the open sights. This stock is actually the stock off of an AVT40, the full auto, or the select fire I should say, version of this rifle. You can tell that, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's an A stamped on the stock. Also, if you look down here, the safety, it's on safe right now, or it's on fire I should say, on single fire, semi-auto. That's on safe, but then there's also this detent in the stock to flip the safety into full auto over on that side. So a couple ways you can tell that it's the stock off of an AVT40, because like I said, you know, they get these things back when they re-arsenal them and they sort of take parts of parts and put them together, but it fires like a sweet machine. Alright, so now let's go up to the Mosin-Nagant. Now I know what all you purists are saying, that I destroyed a Mosin-Nagant, but there are millions and millions of Mosin-Nagants, folks. So the fact that I sporterized the Mosin-Nagant is not going to hurt anybody, okay? So what I did was I added this absolutely beautiful Boyd's thumbhole stock with the cheek riser over here. It's got this awesome thumb hole, just a beautiful stock. I added a Timney trigger, because as you know, the triggers on these guns are ridiculous. You know, it's like you need a Mack truck to pull it. It's a really heavy trigger. So I added this Timney trigger, and it surprises me every time I pull the trigger when this thing's going to go off. It's the smoothest trigger ever. I have a ATI bent bolt with the ATI, I don't know if you can get it, the ATI scope mount there. I just have a, you know, a 3-to-9 scope up there. I kept the original barrel length, you know, because what is it, just shy of 29 inches. The velocity you get out of this thing, the ballistics, is ridiculous, so I didn't want to cut that down. There's the bayonet that goes on the end. This is a great shooting rifle. And you hear online people talking about, oh, you know, it kicks like a mule, this and that. Look, if you've ever fired a 12 gauge, there's no rifle that's going to kick harder than that 12 gauge. So, you know, don't be afraid of picking up a high caliber rifle like this. And, you know, it's somewhere between a 308 and a 30-06. I have an M14 that's in 308. Now, mind you, it's a semi-auto. This is a bolt action. But it's a little bit more than a 308 and not quite as much as a 30-06. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I know ProMag Archangel is coming out with their new Mosin-Nagant composite rifle stock with that 10-round detachable magazine. So when that, I'm waitlisted on it right now. So when that comes out, I'm definitely going to pick one up. I think the MSRP is like $100 and something bucks. Like, you can't go wrong, you know. Now, mind you, this is a $100 rifle, but at the same time, you know, it can really take it up to the next level. I'd really be remiss though to lose this Boyd stock. Like, I'm loving this stock. It's just a work of art. So, anyways, those are my Soviet rifles. Again, I got the Mosin-Nagant up there. It's kind of sporterized. I have the SVT40, pretty much stock. Now, the muzzle brake's great. You know, if you read online, they say it takes like 80% of the recoil out of the rifle, which is true. Like, you know, you can really fire that SVT40 no problem, whereas the Mosin-Nagant's got a little bit more kick to it. But I'll tell you, that muzzle brake, if you're firing it in the evening, it is a flamethrower. Like, the muzzle flash coming out of that thing, I'd hate to be a soldier, you know, in the evening or at night trying to fire this thing. You give yourself away to half the army. It is a real flamethrower, that muzzle brake. We also have our VZ58 right there, a little bit more tactical, I guess. And we have our SKS over there. So those are my Soviet rifles. So Paperkiller 79 signing off, and hopefully make it out to the range one of these days. Talk to you later, guys. Bye bye.